Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. A day that will live in the hearts of many, not just in New York, D.C., or in Pennsylvania, but around the entire world. We here at the Wrestling Revival Podcast remember this day and let everyone know we will never forget.
It looks like you lost another one.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the Wrestling Revival Podcast. I am your host, Cyb3rYeti, and over here to the other side of me, you see Mr. DJ Notorious, Mr. Notorious approved. Sir, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. Another episode here of the podcast. A lot to discuss. AEW just went off the air, and looks like they're getting prepared to be in a New York state of mind in a few weeks.
Yes, sir. Go ahead and pay a bill really quick. Big shout out to Ulti Energy, ultisubs.com. Make sure you use that code Revival Army for 10% off your order. You pick up some great stuff, but also on top of that, you're supporting the podcast by using that code. So when you go to checkout, make sure you put in Revival Army for 10% off, and pick yourself up a good flavor, pick yourself up a nice metal shaker, do all that good stuff. You'll be helping us out, and you'll be getting a good product that you'll enjoy using. So big shout outs to ultisubs.com. We do appreciate you for sticking around for season 3 of the Wrestling Revival Podcast. So, DJ, we all know what happened this past weekend. We had all AEW All Out. So, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch all of it. I only saw bits and pieces just due to the fact I was unfortunately unable to purchase the pay-per-view, but you actually were able to watch it. So I'm going to go ahead and let you kick things off with the AEW All Out recap. So go ahead and take it away, sir. Let us know what happened this past weekend.
All right. Well, All Out was definitely on AEW's mind this past weekend in Chi-Town, home of Kanye, Common, and a few others. And for this, it was a jam-packed card, and let's just get to some of those results. Now, when it came to it, once again, it was at the Now Arena out there in Chicago. Tickets did sell out, so good thing for them. The pay-per-view did get started with MJF versus Daniel Garcia. This match was definitely good. Of course, MJF did get the victory. And in the Chicago street fight, to somebody's surprise on this show, Chris Statlander actually got the victory over
Called that.
And in the TBS title match, of course, Mercedes Moné did defend and reign over Hikaru Shida. She is still the TBS champion and international championship, which some people are calling match of the year candidate. Will Ospreay retained his international championship, beating Pac. And this match right here, Swerve versus Hangman, there was a lot of ish going on. We'll get to that in just a second. And of course, still the AEW World Champion, that will be Bryan Danielson. He didn't make it out of Chicago in one piece. We'll talk about that in a second. But the main thing, as you know, you was watching last week's show here, we told you that steel cage match was going to be a problem. And it definitely was that, a problem indeed. Hangman Adam Page looking like Fire Marshal Bill out there, going up against Swerve Strickland. Whew. I mean, put the women and children to bed, go hunting for some dinner, whatever you want to call it. This was not for the faint at heart. There were staples, there were cinder blocks, there was a needle involved in this match. That's right, Hangman Adam Page literally took a needle and put it through Swerve Strickland's mouth.
All I got to say is, why in the heck is Hangman Adam Page coming out looking like an extra for the FX show Rescue Me? Yes, I am in a little bit of a New York state of mind also because of what today is. So I was a little surprised. I was waiting for all the rest of the cast to kind of pop out with him, with the way he was looking. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue, Sally.
Yeah, so that match did main event the night, which was to nobody's surprise, but that one there had a lot of people talking, good and a bad way. If you know these two and know how the storyline's been going, they literally push the envelope even more. And honestly, this has to be, if you are doing any type of top tens, hint, hint, you will have this in there for a match of the year candidate, just off of the sheer violence. We'll be talking about a certain top 10 a little bit later on in the show as well. But that match there, of course, Hangman did get the victory. A lot of people were surprised he got the victory. We thought it was going to be Swerve, but looks like Swerve is going to be taking some time off after signing that nice hefty, and I use that word very loosely, hefty. Yes, AEW contract. So he'll be taking some time off. I would expect him probably back by Full Gear. Definitely before the end of the year. Of course, Full Gear will be up after Dynamite hits New York in just a few weeks. Now, we did talk about the AEW Championship. Bryan Danielson did retain his World Heavyweight title, but I guess he has no new friends or old friends at this point, because after the match, Jon Moxley and, of course, his new stable made their presence known, but Mr. Danielson got a bag put over his head, plastic bag to be exact, and was choked out by Jon Moxley, Claudio, and Marina Shafir. You know what? The only thing so far I like about this is Marina's getting some good TV time.
Yes.
That's the only thing so far about it. And Pac is now also a part of this stable as well. So are we looking at kind of a 2.0 version of a certain stable? I think so.
I think so too, just due to the simple fact that Ray Phoenix and Mr. Zero Miedro, or whatever the hell he wants to call himself. I know I totally butchered that. I'm about as tired as you are right now, but we still got to get this done. They both left, and it looks like they are WWE bound, so they had to give Pac something to do. And I think this is a good route for him to take, because he is working with people who are former champions in both. I still call him Cesaro. Okay, I still call him Cesaro, and Jon Moxley. I think this is a good move for him. I think this is a good stable for him to be in. A little surprising with the turn. I was pleasantly surprised with it. I actually got to watch the clip of that happening, and I could tell you this: my heart did jump a bit when I saw Maria Shafir pop out, because, no joke, I really thought that was Becky Lynch for a second. Seeing her from behind. I know. I know. Don't judge me.
Wow.
Don't judge me.
Wow.
I was about to say, what the fuck? Again, I got it wrong.
It wouldn't be the first time here on this show, but yes, it wouldn't be the first time.
Oh, all right, motherfucker. All right.
The first time.
All right. All right. I get you.
All right. But yeah, so we do have that. Of course, now that led into what happened on Dynamite, which we'll discuss in a little bit. Now, the TBS Championship was defended by Mercedes Moné, and she actually did put on a good match with Hikaru Shida. Now, this is what we were talking about just on last week's show. It wasn't Mercedes Moné's fault regarding the All-In with her matchup with Britt Baker. It was clearly Britt Baker, as Hikaru Shida and Mercedes Moné didn't have the worst match of the night.
And
really
it was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was a pretty good match there. And of course, we all knew Mercedes was going to retain going in, and she did just that. So overall, even with the MJF and Daniel Garcia, I'm going to give this pay-per-view a solid 8 out of 10. They didn't blow anything out of the water and nothing was horrible. It's just simply that 8 out of 10. And I definitely enjoyed the pay-per-view. All Out, All In seems to be that package deal that you get now during the summer. And let's see what it leads up to now when it heads over to New York here in just a few weeks.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, it was a very good pay-per-view. All In was also a pretty good pay-per-view. I will agree with that. My only concern is I really hope that AEW starts having a better track record on their weekly shows and leading into their pay-per-views, because like we've both said multiple times in the past over the last, couple seasons, AEW knows how to put on a pay-per-view, but it's when they're leading into it, they were having some problems. So I really hope that this turns the page and, with it, and they're able to actually build a storyline going in to pay-per-views. So overall, I agree. It was a good set of pay-per-views for AEW to end the summer.
Definitely was. And now that brings you to pretty much their last sweet spot of the summer going now into the fall. That would, of course, be AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, which will be here in just a few weeks. And of course, I say here because it is in New York City. It'll be right across the street from Citi Field, home of the New York Mets. Of course, that'd be in baseball, but they suck anyways about the Yankees.
I was about to say.
Yes, but of course, in the same place where the U.S. Open was just a week ago, that's where AEW will hopefully be bringing the stadium down at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Now, preparing for that, there were a few matches that actually leads into what could be going on there at, Dynamite. Now, the first one, and it was a big surprise this actually night, we got a match that literally could be a pay-per-view match. Literally, we got on free TV tonight. That match actually being Sammy Guevara. That's right, Sammy Guevara made his return back to Dynamite, and it had nothing to do with Chris Jericho. Thank the Lord, because he finally did take on AEW's newest signee, which is Ricochet. So
Rick O'Shea
was a good match, good free TV, but in the end, you all know who won. This is going to continue going into Dynamite. I see both of these guys eventually hitting up Mr. Will Ospreay for that international championship. Sammy Guevara has been proving his stature in AEW since the beginning. He's probably going down as one of the best, if not the best, TNT champion the company has ever had. I think he's had 3 title reigns as TNT champion. I give or take 1 or 2 there, but Ricochet's trying to jump on board and do the same thing. Now, me and Cyber have discussed this regarding recent signings of AEW. Of course, Ospreay, Okada, and Mercedes Moné. Ricochet so far, it seems like they're doing a little bit differently and for the better. Ricochet was actually given a big name, as in Sammy Guevara, for Dynamite. Usually with guys or ladies, of course, with Monet coming right into AEW, they're given a bunch of squash matches, people that are just from the area, no big name until a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
This is Ricochet's 3rd, maybe 4th week already, and boom, he's already being put in to quite possibly a start of a major storyline with him trying to get that international title. So what did you think about that match, Sammy Guevara versus Ricochet tonight?
I hope this is a turn for the better in regards to them bringing new talent in, because the way that they're treating Ricochet, it, like you said, is different than what they normally do, because normally they kind of try to build them up. They kind of try to go the WWE route, kind of, in regards to giving them like local talent or very low tier talent in the whole AEW roster. But with them starting right off the bat with Sammy Guevara, which is a mid to high level mid tier wrestler for AEW, I mean, I think that's definitely a good thing. The match overall, Ricochet is able to show off a lot of his work, his ability, his in-ring ability by this match tonight. This gave me glimpses of the Ricochet we saw before he signed with WWE. I'm talking his viral matches from Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, his matches he had in Lucha Underground, this kind of stuff. So I'm hoping this is a sign of times changing and they are moving in the right direction in regards to how to treat their new talent coming in. But overall, I really did enjoy the match.
Definitely was a good match and a good way to actually keep going with the vibe of getting ready for, Dynamite being in New York with this match. I was actually surprised that we had this match on the card, and I really thought that Tony Khan forget that the pay-per-view was last week and not this week, because he's just giving away that on free TV. Very surprising, but I'm not mad, Tony Khan. Not mad at all. We did have to start the show, the TNT Championship. We had Lio Rush going for the TNT Championship versus the Scapegoat, Jack Perry. Now, come on, y'all. Y'all know who won this match. We ain't got to be a rocket scientist to figure this one out. Jack Perry is still your TNT champion. Did put on a good match. Lio Rush in his latest run, I would say, with AEW, has not been that bad. Of course, he is aligned with Top Flight, kind of looking like, janitors, their last outfit last week. But that's another story for another day. I'm just saying that's what they look like there. It doesn't look nothing about Top Flight there. Maybe they need to look like co-pilots again and not the janitors who clean the, airplanes, Remember Cole from Martin? Okay, y'all know where I'm going with that. But we did have an appearance from Jon Moxley and the group there. I'm just going to call them the group. Okay, they really don't have a name just yet. That's why names floating around online, but we're just going to call them the group. They did make a scene, and they did take out Private Party and anybody else who was in the damn ring at that point, making their presence known. It just seems like we're beating up on everybody until we get what we want. What Jon Moxley wanted was some TV time with Darby Allin. Darby Allin, dressed in Pink Panther, was coming down to the ring, and now it is set up for Grand Slam, where Moxley versus Allin, and the winner will actually get the shot at the AEW World Championship against Bryan Danielson if he still has that title at that point. Because Mr. Danielson now, according to Tony Khan, if he is 100%, he'll be taking on Nigel McGuinness. That's right, the Nigel McGuinness at Grand Slam here in New York in a few weeks. Now,
well, I was in some spaces and they were saying that, yes, the match is official between Danielson and McGuinness, but it's not for the AEW title. It's just a one-on-one match. Now, I haven't been able to confirm that yet, but that is what is going around, that it's not going to be for the AEW title.
Yeah, I can see it. It'll probably get that label of being for the AEW World Championship, because remember, this is Grand Slam. This is kind of like their super Dynamite of sorts here. So I can see them doing it, but we all know Nigel McGuinness is not going to be winning this matchup. He definitely will put on a good show. These two really can't stand each other, more Nigel on the side than Danielson, but should be still a good match. And then, of course, we'll have Moxley and or Darby interfering or showing themselves during that matchup. And then to close actually the show tonight, we had the tag team gauntlets, where the winner actually gets a shot at the tag team titles of AEW, held by, Matt and Nicholas Jackson, of course, the Young Bucks. And we have some tag teams in there that we haven't seen in a while. Righteous Brothers, FTR, and of course, I think it's the Outrunners, making you think of that old Sega racing game back in the day. That's those Outrunners. But in the end, the winner of it is a team that actually knows each other and been together in many different countries. But we got a taste of it tonight. It is Mr. Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. They will now be going up against Nick and Matt Jackson at Grand Slam for those AEW tag team titles. Do you think, Cyber, we could be seeing Mr. Ospreay as a belt collector and becoming one half of the tag team champs in a few weeks?
I could see that being a possibility just because of how good of a talent Will Ospreay is. So I definitely wouldn't put it past him to be potentially a multiple champion in the company. Now, the question is are the Young Bucks going to actually let that happen? That is the question.
A very good question, because they do not let those titles go unless there's something else in it for them, quote unquote.
Exactly.
But it would be good to see, and it would actually advance that storyline with, of course, Ospreay kind of sort of being down with Don Callis. As you know, Kyle Fletcher is down with that Don Callis family. And watch out for Takeshita, because he let it be known he is not a fan of Will Ospreay during some segments backstage tonight. Yeah. But overall, a pretty good show coming out of their pay-per-view All Out. And we'll see next week what they do as we're getting closer and closer to Dynamite at Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York.
And I will say this, based off of what happened tonight on Dynamite, it's moving in a positive direction, because like I said earlier when we were talking about the All Out recap, my main concern and your main concern was them being able to start up stories and have storylines build into their special shows or their big pay-per-view events. Now, this is the start of that potentially happening. Now, the question is how is Tony Khan and company going to carry that momentum over and ultimately let it lead to Grand Slam? Yes. So that's the big question. Now we'll just have to keep watching and seeing. But so far, I like how Dynamite was tonight.
Yeah, it definitely had an old school type of feel. And when I say old school, I mean for the first couple of years of existence that AEW was around, it gave you matches that you weren't expecting and definitely kept your interest throughout the show. There was no lowlights tonight, which is pretty good for a show coming out of a major pay-per-view for AEW. But let us know what you think about it, and on our social media at the Wrestling Revival Podcast, on IG, on TikTok, TWRP_official_. And Elon Musk, come to the front of the congregation. I need to have a word with you at TWRP_official. Make sure you're following us all there, because you get the latest content coming from the show and some exclusive content from some of those social media platforms. So make sure you're following all three so you're up to date with everything involving wrestling and, of course, here on the show.
And just taking a look here at our chat, we've got Sting here. 28 reasons tonight's show was really good, and 6 reasons some might say it wasn't. Did Blue see what I...
It was seen. Let's just put it like that. It was seen. Definitely seen there. But, I understand why Sting used that 28-6 reference. It's okay. I understand it. He was trying to make a little joke there about a certain New York team this past weekend. Not a problem. And that's why you have a quarterback on your fantasy football team that doesn't even play yet. How about that? Okay, moving right along.
Ooh.
Okay. Anybody call Mr. Sierra? Hello, Mr. Sierra on the phone.
Oh my God, not the Mr. Sierra.
He doesn't play because Justin Fields is better. But anyway, another story for another day.
Bro, that is rough. All right, man. So let's go ahead and jump into our next topic here. Of course, you brought it up a little while ago about a certain list coming up. And the reason why I'm bringing this up now is because this is going to be a good chunk of the second half of the show here. So recently, we had a certain list drop. We had the PWI top 500 wrestler list drop. And let me tell you this, we are mainly focusing on the top 10.
Yes.
Just to let y'all know, if you saw this top 10 list already, I hope you're just as disturbed as we are in regards to how it looks. Now, we're going to show you that list, but also on top of that, DJ's actually going to share with you who his top 10 are, and also I'm going to share with you who my top 10 are. So, without further ado, DJ, let's take a look at this really quick. Go ahead.
Now, the top 10 list, according to PWI, is as follows, if you guys can see it there. Number 10, Mystico. Number 9, Gunther. 8, John Moxley. 7 is MJF. 6 is a guy who likes to go south of heaven, Damian Priest. Number 5, we have there Mayatu. 4, we do have, who is that? Oh, Seth freaking Rollins. 3, Will Ospreay. 2, Swerve Strickland. And number 1 being Cody Rhodes. Now, if I could just be frank for just a minute here. That's some bullshit. Okay? That if I've ever seen a bullshit, politically nice top 10 list, that'll be one right there.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that are not even on the list in the top 10 that should have been. There are a few people that should be nowhere near this top 10 list, but they were put on there for obvious reasons. I'm just going to say it for you. Because they want to make sure everybody's included. You know how, your kids play in different sports and they get that appreciation award?
Yeah. Oh, you mean the participation trophy?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. So,
the one that Eminem was talking shit about on his single Houdini. Yeah, that participation trophy, the one we want to throw at their faces. I got you.
That exact one right there. So let's just go here right now. I'm going to just call it out there. Mystico, Nieto, whatever you want to call them, should not be on this list. Automatically taken off the list. I know I'm going to make some people mad over in the Far East or New Japan fans. 2 tears in the bucket. Fuck it. I don't care. They don't deserve to be on.
And a certain Starbucks lover is probably not going to be too happy with that either.
Well, you know what? He needs to grow. Anyway, just calling it like it is. It's just what it is. So automatically taking those 2 out. Look at this list right here. Notice how we did not say Bryan Danielson on this list.
Oh, then I'm really going to piss you off.
So no Bryan Danielson on this list? What's going on here? Let's just add Bryan Danielson onto this list, and then you still have your 9. Now, Gunther should not be at number 9.
No.
Absolutely not. Personally, number 1 and number 2, you can have either way. You could have it as, Wrestler Purse has it or PWI has it. Cody, Swerve, whichever way you're feeling dark coffee with some cream, whichever way, it's fine by me.
Well, technically, the way that that the social media world has Cody Rhodes is technically the same thing. Apparently, he's invited to the cookouts. He's allowed to bring food, and he knows how to season shit.
Yes, he does. He washes his chicken beforehand. He does that too. But that's very important. But I would personally put Cody at number 1 slightly. And I mean by that slightly above Swerve Strickland. I will still have him at number 2. Number 3 should be Gunther. Period. 3, Gunther. Have we not seen what this man has done over the past year? Have we not? His man literally carried WWE all last year by himself. He is the ring general for a reason and is currently one of their world champions. Number 3. Number 4, you can have Ospreay. Number 5, you can do Seth Rollins. 6, I'll put Priest up to 5. I will move then MJF up to 6. Then at that 7th spot, I'm putting in Bryan Danielson right there. I definitely would. So, and that would pretty much be the rest of my list. Like, you can fill out everyone else as you do, but Mystico, Nieto, no way, no how should they have been in the top 10 list. I'm very surprised, but then I'm not surprised at the same time because it's politics as usual when it comes to certain lists going on in the world of professional wrestling.
Okay, so with my list, I'm going to tell you what my mindset was when I did this, because some of the ones that you said in their places, I agree with you, DJ, but also there's a couple that I don't have on my list that are on the PWI list. And my reasoning behind that is because I looked at their work for the entire year, not them just recently winning a title.
Right.
So that's where I'm looking at. So first off, I have an honorable mention before I do that because they're not top 10, but still they had a pretty good year. First off is Jordan Grace. she's my honorable mention. She's not in my top 10. She's an honorable mention just because of the Royal Rumble. She defended her title on NXT. She also has been like one of the main people besides Joe Hendry, which I hate to say it. They did it just for the social media pop.
Mm-hmm.
So Jordan Grace is my honorable mention. Number 10, just because of his feud that he had and the way he won his championship, and then how he kind of turned it around, even though he doesn't have his championship right now. Trick Williams from NXT is number 10.
Yes, he'll probably be one of those two that I would add it on.
Yes. Now, the other one, I know you think I'm going to be biased, but I'm looking at it like this. This person has actually had some really good feuds in their title reign. Not only that, I think overall they're looking at a main roster call up soon, which I think with some of the new talent that's being brought in, I think that one of these new talents is going to be the one to take the belt off this person, and this will allow them to get bumped up. Number 9, I have Roxana Perez, just from some of her big matches that she's had on NXT, and now she's going to be going against Julia on their first episode on the CW. I could easily see her losing that title on that episode, her going away and then popping back up at the Royal Rumble and being called up to the main roster. So that's my number 9. Number 8, I was so ticked off when you read me this list when I was driving home that this person wasn't in the top 10. Again, it's another NXT person.
Okay.
Oba Femi.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay. So ever since he won that title off of, I believe it was Wesley that he won it off of.
Yes.
He won it off of Wesley. Ever since he won that, dude, literally that North American title is almost at the same tier, or maybe in some cases a little bit higher than the main championship.
For who's holding the title right now with NXT as their world champion, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
I would have Obu and probably Trick would have been my two I put in, and taking out the Mystico and the Naito.
There's a couple more on here that I've taken out and I slotted people in because, like I said, it's because of their work they've done throughout the year. I don't just look at recently winning titles or anything like that. I'm looking at the people who have either held the titles for most of the year or have won them in monumental fashion. That's the way I'm looking at it. And also overall a presentation too, not just their in-ring abilities, but also the way they present themselves as they're going to the ring or as they are doing press conferences, how they're catching people's attention. So this person is going to be no surprise. This is from AEW for number 7. Mm-hmm. This person has gone to multiple promotions, did a stint in Japan, and actually honed their overall gimmick while they were over there. Mm-hmm. My number 7 is Jack Perry. I know, but come on, tell me this isn't true. Hold on. I knew this one was going to get a groan out of you. But look at it like this. Ever since he dropped off the face of the earth after the whole CM Punk situation, he went over to New Japan. Mm-hmm. He really naturally made his gimmick by being over there because he used the excuse of him being the scapegoat for CM Punk. Yeah. And that whole situation. And instead of letting it tear him down, he used it to build himself up.
Yes, he definitely did.
He definitely did. And then when he came back, how long did it take for him to win the TNT title from there?
Not long. Not long at all.
So I can understand where your groaning's coming from, but also, like I told you what my parameters were for picking the people that I have in my top 10. He's one of the ideal people that I saw deserved to be in the top 10 just because of how naturally his gimmick, you know, evolved. I don't want to put it on the same level as Timeless Tony Storm just because that one happened in front of our eyes on AEW.
Right.
But Jack Perry didn't. He had to go to New Japan. And if you weren't watching social media, if you weren't watching YouTube or TikTok, you wouldn't have seen that. So that's the reason why I don't put him in the same classification as Tony Storm, but he went another route and got the same result.
Okay.
So that's my reasoning behind picking Jack Perry as my number 7. Now, my number 6, we're going to go back to WWE for this one.
Okay.
Number 6 is going to be Seth Rollins.
Okay.
Here's my reason behind Seth Rollins for number 6. He took a break. He had some time off after WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
But that entire storyline that he had for WrestleMania, where him and Cody literally pulled double duty to make both storylines work, it was great. The way that they used the psychology with when Seth Rollins got involved with the undisputed title match with Roman Reigns, that was great. And the way that Seth Rollins sold it was so good. So overall, just the storyline, just the ability to work with Cody, even though it was a little rocky at first with him and Cody, you could tell not only storyline wise, but as a person, Seth Rollins actually gained a lot of respect for Cody Rhodes during that time. And so with all that happening, that's my reason for putting him at number 6, because he did what not very many wrestlers are willing to do, and that was take the L to further someone else. Seth Rollins has consistently done that. Look at how many times Seth Rollins lost to Cody when he first got to WWE. How many times he lost to him?
Quite a bit.
So he ate a loss for him in order to reach his end goal, which was to win the undisputed title.
Right.
So that's the reason. That's my reasoning behind putting Seth Rollins at number 6. Really quick, looking at the chat here, Sting, the scapegoat has been good enough to get Chicago to chant "Cry Me a River" and not as an insult. And when they tried to chant Punk, they booed and said, "Fuck CM Punk." Props. Yeah, that's true. Like I said, that's why I liked Jack Perry for the top 10. Is I liked him for number 7, because if he would have tried to do that without all that stuff happening where he went to New Japan, it wouldn't have worked. And then Sting, what about Moose? I hate to say it, he hasn't done nothing to wow me this past year. He's a good worker, he's a good wrestler, but he hasn't been involved in anything big enough for me to give me a reason to put him in the top 10.
See, a lot of people don't realize this. If you didn't know, a lot of people are thinking that this PWI top 500, or at least this top 10, is for 2024. No. PWI always does this from September of 2023 going to September now 2024. So you have to put your mind in that status first before you start picking those people. Now, for me, Jack Perry, I really didn't give him that much because at that time he still wasn't really back in AEW just yet. And that's where his mainstay has been so far for at least 2024. So I didn't have him in my top 10 for that reason and that reason only. I did have Trick and Obu ahead of him, and they would have been my 2 to be inserted into the top 10. But listening to your list right now, I just want to know who you don't have on this list here, because you might make some of these fans upset more than I would have.
Well, I'm getting to the top here, so you're gonna. I think people will start getting mad here pretty soon. Okay, at number 5, I have MJF.
Okay.
The reason why I have MJF there is because he is at the point of his career. He does not need the AEW title to draw attention.
Very true.
When he had the international title and turned it into the US title,
perfect.
dude. And then when he came out dressed like Apollo Creed,
which
I was
called.
like, beautiful. Freaking beautiful, man. So I was very happy with that. This man he literally cannot miss. Yes, I'm taking Carmelo Hayes' catchphrase. MJF don't miss when it comes to what he's doing right now. Number 4, I'm sure DJ you'll agree. I think you will agree with this. Will Ospreay's at number 4.
Okay.
Dude, it's fucking Will Ospreay. Come on, man.
I mean, he has been one of the best. We're just going to talk in the company. He has been one of the better ones for AEW, one of the brighter lights for them over the past year, September to September into 2024. So nothing with that. Definitely number 4. Can't.
Yeah. Okay, so looking at Sting here again, his thoughts on Samoa Joe.
Number 3.
Number 3, I'm sure you're not going to be surprised with this one. It is the Ring General Gunther.
Yes.
He has been on a massive tear. And to be honest, I do not know which way to go with this for Bad Blood. Because he's going against the person who took the Intercontinental title off of him. I know it would be stupid for WWE to take the World Heavyweight title off of him now. But
let's just call it what it is.
I just hope they're not that stupid.
I would hope so, that they don't do something like that. It would be rather dumb to just give it back to the guy who's just, let's call it what it is, the epitome of a mid-carder.
Pretty much.
He's the epitome of a mid-carder. He has no way. He shouldn't even be sniffing around that World Heavyweight Championship. Mm-mm. And honestly, I feel if Gunther doesn't put him to sleep, they're doing him a disservice.
Unless they let him avenge that one loss he took to lose the Intercontinental title. That's the only thing I hope happens from this match.
Literally. That's the only thing that should happen.
Yeah, exactly. And then my number 2 is Cody Rhodes, just because he completed his story.
Right.
And, he had a very good entrance for WrestleMania. Everybody was jumping up and down. They were so happy, so excited. You could even hear in Samantha Irving's voice how excited that she was for him to finally win. And just for finishing his story, I think he's number 2. But when it comes to presentation, when it comes to overall appearance, when it comes to work in the ring, when it comes to personality, I'm sorry, my number 1 is Swerve Strickland. Number 1 is Swerve Strickland. I could tell you this, the cherry on top is Prince Nana being with him. That is probably the greatest thing I see every time he has a match and he's right there with him.
And congratulations real quickly to Prince Nana, because in this same PWI list that was broken down to many different things, there was a female list, there was a manager's list, and Prince Nana danced his way to the number 1 spot.
Big congratulations to Prince Nana. That is awesome. And also too, Swerve Strickland, he has style to him. He has style. If you just look at what he's worn to the ring every time he's had a title defense, unreal.
I always tell people this, and this is something that some people may not like me for this, but oh well, just get in line, take a number. This is where AEW thrives and where WWE still needs to push a little bit more. Swerve Strickland is for the culture. He's for the culture. Not saying Cody is not. I know what some stands are going to say. Cody just stopped racism and all that stuff. That's funny. That's a nice little joke for him and everything. But we're going to put style on there. One person has swag and the other one needs improvement. It is what it really is.
Now, I will say this. WWE is starting to slowly move in that direction, not as quick as AEW is, because now we're starting to see the biggest thing that's popping up is the sneaker culture in WWE. And yes, I think that is a great thing to have happen. Triple H showing off that he's a sneakerhead. You know, Cody Rhodes doing it. Obviously, Jey Uso, Kofi Kingston,
has been doing it for years.
Xavier Woods. I mean, there are multiple talents that are starting to wear them. Hell, even the women's division is starting to pop in on it too. You know, Liv Morgan, she dropped an arm and a leg on custom, Nikes. And I mean, the list is growing rapidly, but now they need to continue focusing on getting into the cultures that are currently hot right now, which would be sneakers, music, and fashion.
And say those three again.
Sneakers, music, and fashion.
That's why Swerve will be number one on anybody's list, because he has all three.
Exactly. And that's
all
what
three.
And before I even started talking about my list, I said that was one of the main factors for me. So yes, Cody, yes, he's trying to put himself out there, sneakerhead, all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, Swerve Strickland is putting it all three together like fluidly. I mean, you could tell just by the way he looks when he had title defenses, the way that he presents himself when he didn't have matches. He was doing promos, the way he was dressed, the way that he acted with the help of Prince Nana with his dancing and his acting ability. I mean, all that put together made a complete package for this guy. And I mean, there are very few people I can think of that had managers that could do something like that. The last person I can think of recently that could do something like that, Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
And prior to that, if I want to go back and think about it, Macho Man Randy Savage and his girlfriend or wife. Those two, Sherry. There we go, Sherry.
Sensational Sherry, yes.
Yes, those two, Shawn Michaels, and I'm trying to think who was his manager when he started being the Heartbreak Kid, sung his intro music.
That would be Sensational Sherry as well.
Oh wow, that's right. Holy shit.
Sensational Sherry, yes.
So you see, a manager can literally make or break a talent.
Easily
so that's my reason for Swerve Strickland being number one. Now, if Arn Anderson were to come out and start doing it for Cody Rhodes, then it might change. But
Arn Anderson can't bring a Glock out there. And
Glock Anderson. Hey, you never know. They go Netflix in January.
You know what? Yeah, they do go there in January, so that could be a possibility. But yeah,
this bang, bang. I'm just saying.
A whole new bang, bang word to Cactus Jack. I mean, that definitely could be a list right there. Let us know how you feel about each list here on our social media at the Wrestling Revival Podcast on IG. Of course, if it's on TikTok, yes, we're on TikTok, y'all. TWRP_official_ and Elon Musk's damn freaking social media platform X, TWRP_official. Let us know how you feel about the PWI top 500 and especially that top 10. We got it here. The top we seem pretty good with. We pretty much got the top 4 correct, myself and Cyber. Yankee and Astro do agree. It's just 5 through 10 might be a little bit different than others. But we're on the same wavelength when it comes to certain wrestlers getting their shine and others do not. But I think we're both in agreement. Mystico does not need to be there. I'm honestly going to tell you, when I saw Mystical on there,
Naito does not need to be on this list.
Right. When I saw Mystical, I thought somebody said Mystical, the rapper. That's what I thought.
I was waiting for him to pop out and be like, danger.
There I go. That type of thing. So, but they did no. Those two do not need to be on there. Now watch, all during the week, we're going to get hit from the New Japan stands and all the people out there saying,
and the Mr. Starbucks of the world.
Yeah, y'all just don't know anything. You guys, they deserve to be on the list and all that other stuff. Cry me a river. See what I did there, Jack Perry?
Yeah, they need to listen to Justin Timberlake and just go cry a river somewhere.
Exactly. Or you know what? They're probably going to do this after the show tonight.
Wow.
Sorry, not sorry.
And I will tell y'all this, for the people in the social media world, if you haven't yet, make sure you follow us on TikTok. And if you don't, and if your friends aren't following, make sure they follow us on TikTok also, because I could tell you this, we're getting tired of Elon Musk bullshit. We need to hit 1,000 followers in order to go live on TikTok. So please, 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 if you're not following, or if your friends or your family ain't following, you better tell them to hit that follow button on the Wrestling Revival Podcast so we can go ahead and start streaming live on TikTok as well. So do your homework, people.
Yes, do your homework. Now, this is the part of the show right here. We're going to do real quickly about WWE. The main thing coming out of Raw and NXT was you had the season premiere of Monday Night Raw this past Monday. And, you know, Calgary, Alberta, Canada, home of you know who, Mr. Bret the Hitman Hart. But the biggest thing that came out of there wasn't the Y6 once again going up against American Made.
Don't get me started with that.
I wasn't going to try to. We're just going to skip that. We're talking Raw going back to 2 hours starting in October. That's right. Since we are moving over back to the USA Network for the rest of the year, because, you know, in January, that's when this shit's going to hit the fan. But they are going to be back to 2 hours from Monday Night Raw. Now, some people are saying, yes, this is great and everything. I smell bullshit a mile away. My bullshit meter went off when they made the announcement during Raw. And just think about it, guys. Monday Night Raw was just this past Monday, but it was also the first Monday Night Football game in the NFL. So WWE knows a loss when they see it, especially in that third hour when it comes to ratings. Hence why you're now only getting 2 more hours of WWE Raw and not that 10 to 11 last dreadful, need water, probably need some OT subs to stay awake and watch the third hour of Monday Night Raw. But yes, they will be doing that starting in October. So maybe it'll be a good thing. You can actually condense it a little bit more, maybe a few less backstage segments and more people in the ring. So making more of an action-packed 2 hours instead of the more drawn-out 3 hours. So congratulations to them. All of them now on the USA Network for at least the next couple of months. So congratulations to them.
Yep.
But yes, to end the show tonight, there is just a few people I would like to bring to the front of the congregation. I need to have a word with them.
Ooh, here we go.
And this right here is because I'm seeing a lot of selective outrage. And this first one goes to the wrestling Karens. Yes. You know, AEW had their, you know, big pay-per-view All Out. And, of course, Hangman and Swerve Strickland ended their show in their steel cage, unsanctioned, lights out. Everything was involved in the match, type of steel cage match. But some people are saying, oh, they just killed their deal with Warner Brothers and they're using cinder blocks and, you know, stapling pictures to people's faces and using needles is going too much. It's killing their product. Wasn't there a company back in the early 90s, Cyber, based out of Philadelphia that did all these things and more? Just thinking. I think that's what happened. It was called ECW. And it was loved, still loved to this day. People chant ECW when hardcore actions like this happen. Listen, it was on a pay-per-view. You had to pay $50, you know, through your regular satellite and cable providers, Thriller, YouTube, all that stuff to watch it. If you don't like it, don't watch it. It's as simple as that. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to pay to see this. That's what pay-per-view stands for. You want to watch it, you want to view it, then you have to pay. But don't sit there as Karens now and just act because AEW is doing it. But if WWE does it the next week, you're all cheering about it. Those type of wrestling Karens need to fucking stop. Seriously. Speaking of Karens, let this be something from yours truly, DJ Notorious here. I know everybody loves to get, you know, the engagement and crack a joke and things like this. avoiding racist comments and videos about a company does not make you look better to fans. There's one person in particular that seems to be doing it a lot. We'll just say his name is Alfred. If you're in part of the internet wrestling community, you know exactly who I'm talking about and the exact video I'm talking about. It's so bad, we will not replay it here on the show. Everybody's trying to get content out there, and I'm not going to go against the next man trying to do it. However, there is a certain way to do it where you get respect on both sides, meaning one company and the other. But when you have to go to racist statements and type of comedy just to get some engagement, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're only going to kill yourself in the end. So please, I'm all for the jokes. You know, myself and Cyb3rYeti here, we all love the petty. But the racist stuff has simply got to stop. Whether you're a WWE fan or stan, or you're an AEW stan, racism has no part in anything coming with the wrestling community. So that is it on my end for tonight.
Yeah, and real quick, hitting the chat one more time before the end of the night. Sting, they are complaining when you get that type of stuff on cable today. Exactly. You know, it's so frustrating to hear people who complain about it being on TV, and then all of a sudden they are doing the exact same crap on social media, and then they wonder why they get everybody and their mama going after them afterwards.
Exactly.
As they're contradicting themselves, and on top of that, they're showing that they're hypocrites on top of that. And also it's giving more proof to the fact that a lot of these people are just keyboard warriors. They will say it all day through a monitor, but they're not like the way that myself or DJ grew up. Is we will say it flat to your face with a smile on our face and beg you to do something.
That whole part.
Yeah.
That whole part. Or maybe we'll just drop a bar on you.
A couple clap, you won't hear right when I buck the get. I keep squeezing until something fly in his ear like, what the fuck is...
That is true.
Maybe.
That is true. But anyway, guys, that is the end of tonight's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Again, just really quick, thank you so much to our sponsor, ultisubs.com. Like I mentioned, go there, use our discount code Revival Army for 10% off your order. Again, we appreciate y'all sticking around with us again for season 3. And also, guys, check out our social media throughout the week. We'll drop highlights of our episode, and on top of that, when it's close to premium live events or pay-per-views, we will drop our predictions on social media. And just let us know what your prediction is in the comments. You know, the more you interact with us, the more that we're going to put content out there for you. So just definitely do that for us. We do appreciate you as always. And from DJ and for myself, I know I had my brain froze there for a second.
It's okay.
From
It's
DJ
right.
and myself, Cyb3rYeti, thank you so much for tuning in. We do appreciate it.
And before we say a good night to everybody, I will let it be known that next week, somebody will be joining OT Subs as an official sponsor of the Wrestling Revival Podcast. I wonder who that could be.
You see, this is the one thing I don't like. DJ always does this crap, and then he doesn't even tell me. He doesn't even tell me until he tells all y'all.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell Cyber about himself once we finish this show. But trust me, next week, somebody else is joining the Wrestling Revival Podcast family as an official sponsor. So definitely look out for that next week. It's a big one. It is a big one.
All right, guys. So you have an excuse to tune in. Again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We do appreciate it. We will see y'all next week, and y'all have yourselves a good rest of your night. We are out of here.